Hi, Dick Rauscher here. Welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at Stony Hill Nugget number 258, the life-changing importance of embracing your deeper wisdom. This particular article came about when I was working on a water system in the backyard, trying to figure out how to keep it from leaking and etc. for our gardens. And I was just about to give up. And all of a sudden I had an intuition. I said, I wonder if, and that intuition solved the problem for me, okay? And I thought that might be a good opportunity to write a nugget on this, because I think this is part of our problem with the problems that are facing us as a world and as a nation. I think we're short intuition. So today we're going to be talking about that. So what is intuition? It's basically a deeper wisdom. It's a wisdom that comes, an understanding or an insight that comes without conscious reasoning. In other words, it just kind of pops into our brain. We're tapping into something much deeper inside our subconscious, okay? So intuition, let me give you a quote here. I like this quote. It's one that came from Ariel Rochelle, okay? He says, intuition is a flow. It's like falling into the music of life, hearing the music and sharing it. Intuition is a gift of being human. I really like that definition of it. So let's take a look at some of the concepts here in this article. A lot of material in here. I talk about some of the issues that are facing our country today, and I won't go into too much depth on that, because today I really want to focus on intuition and how we access and begin to deal with some of those problems that are facing us. And we know what they are: global warming, our political system, gridlock, the whole bit. At any rate, so intuition is understanding without conscious reasoning. In other words, we don't have to sit down and logic it out. It just pops into our brain. The second concept that I talked about in that article is overstimulated mind. Our country today is highly overstimulated. Some people are saying that we deal with more stimulation in a month than previous generations would have dealt with in an entire lifetime. I'm not sure that's might even be an understatement, to tell you the truth. I think we may be dealing with more in a week than some of our ancestors would have had in a lifetime. At any rate, we are an overstimulated culture, okay? And the problem with that is that it shuts down intuition. One of the things that I argue about in this particular article is the need for more white space. In other words, we need more downtime in our brain. We need to stop the stimulation. Unless we do, we're never going to be able to access our intuition, because the intuition, the voice of intuition, is always subtle. It comes to us in the quiet times, not when we're noisy and distracted, okay? Not when we're trying to multitask. It comes when we have, for example, if we're sitting in the shower. A lot of times people will say they got their best ideas in the shower. Intuition works that way. I personally like walking the canyon every morning. For me, that's kind of a meditation time, but it's a time for intuition to kind of kick in. I always carry a notebook for ideas. Okay, next thing. We live in a hyper-distracted world. What does that mean? It means we're internet wired. Every single second of our day is consumed with electronics, with email, with alerts that are popping up, dinging on our phones, and we have to pull the phone out and look. We don't need to do that. That's overstimulation. It's okay to turn our computers off, turn our phones off, and just kind of be in the moment, okay? Why? Because again, unless we are willing to do some of this, in other words, shutting down all this distraction, then we're never going to be able to access the intuition, which is the deeper wisdom that we need to actually deal with life and begin to kind of get some insights into what some of these problems are. Right now, we're driven by fear. We're driven by overstimulation. Everything is a problem. And we're not really taking the time to sit back and say, well, I wonder, what if? I wonder if this might be part of the problem, okay? Our minds, our human minds, as Rauscher said, we're amazing creatures, but we need white space. We need less distractions so that our intuitions and those deeper unconscious wisdoms can begin to become more conscious for us. We can awaken ourselves to the presence of that wisdom. The problems I think that we're facing in the country today, and I try to talk about this in the article, is just a lack of attention. We're so busy, we're not paying attention. And what I mean by that is that it's the attention that I'm talking about now is not an opinion or a belief about the problem. There are a ton of opinions. I mean, we're bombarded with someone's opinion or belief system on the problems. What we're lacking is intuition, the deeper wisdom as to how to address those problems. Not with fear, not with doubt, not with over-extremist reactions, but really sitting down and tapping into our wisdom as an individual and then doing something about it, taking some steps to bring that wisdom into the world in some way. So, to summarize, what we need to do, and this is my intuition, and again, I talk about this more in the article, but just to give you a flavor, my intuition, personally, now you're getting my intuition. In other words, it could be wrong. My intuition says that we need to learn how to be more self-sufficient. We need to grow our own food. We need to slow down. We need to begin thinking more in terms of how do we take control of our own lives a little bit more, okay? Day to day, I'm talking. Spend a little bit more time in nature. I don't think we get out and we don't give ourselves shower time or walking in nature or meditation time. We need to slow down and build up that white space that I talked about. Basically, what we need to do is awaken our human consciousness. I think we're walking around kind of sleepwalking a lot, okay? One of the things that I talk about a lot in the articles that I write is we're pushing the river. And what I mean by that is if you think about it, the metaphor is trying to push a river. It's not possible, okay? It never, ever works. Because what we're doing when we push a river, we're denying reality. And that's exactly what's happening today, not intentionally, but because we're so distracted, we're not allowing that deeper wisdom to come forth. How do we deal with reality and stop denying it? Very simple, okay? And we're not doing this today. Now, these are my intuitions, okay? And that is to face everything and avoid nothing. Think about that. Face everything. So when all the deniers and the people who are saying, well, that's really not true, there's no global warming and blah, 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 or we need extremist approaches, the GOP and Trump right now are coming out with a lot of extreme solutions. Face everything, avoid nothing, and tap into intuition by creating white space. And I think, frankly, we'd probably begin to get some solutions that really are not on the table yet. If you find this article helpful, feel free to pass it on, and thanks for the support that you offer when you do that to the work we do here at Stony Hill. It's much appreciated. Okay, see you down the road. Get some more white space and let that intuition begin to emerge and bring wisdom into the world. Have a good week.